What's up, everyone? So today we have this McLean Edger on the table. The owner says it's mainly two problems. One, it's hard to start. He said he had to put a little bit of ether in there. Side note, you know you're dealing with someone who's been dealing with small engines for a while and they refer to starting fluid as ether. But anyway, putting that aside. And he was using it, and maybe like 10 minutes later, it always turns off. Sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little later. He said it really depends on how warm it is outside. We recently had a heat wave. It was like 101. I understand some people think that's a joke, but in the Northwest, it's rough. Anyway, so 101, he said that thing finished his whole lawn. And then to yesterday when he brought it over, it reached a wonderful temperature of 74 degrees. It's a beautiful day. And sunny, so it was nice too. Anyway, and stopped. So I'm thinking one of two things. One, you might have a hole in the little fuel pouch, let's call it. It's like a bowl inside the tank. And basically the carb picks up fuel, puts it in that little smaller tank within a tank, the inception tank. And then the pickup, or excuse me, the jet actually pulls fuel from that smaller tank. And I think that's where our problem is. Either there's a hole in there, kind of doubting that, or the little diaphragm in there that's responsible for pumping isn't pumping as much as it needs, and that it's starting to get weak and it's not pumping enough fuel. Maybe it stops eventually, don't know. So I'm thinking we're going to try that one first, and if it still doesn't, then we'll go ahead and try looking into that tank. But I looked inside the tank. It's going to be next to impossible for you, but at least this part of the tank looks spectacular. Not a drop of rust in there, and the fuel doesn't smell bad at all. So I'm thinking we have an old diaphragm. Ethanol fuels will do this, so one reason not to have ethanol fuels in your small engine. I'm aware not everyone has access to non-ethanol, but if you do, even if it's a drive, go on Google. If you live next to a pier or marina, there's usually a lot of non-ethanol fuel out there because of the water. But anyway, go to Google, find a place that has a... Let's turn the choke on, shall we? Find a place that has non-ethanol. Tell the significant other, children, whatever you want, that we're going for a drive, and then while you're on Google, take that address and type in restaurants around, or theaters around, or attractions around, whatever you're into, and make a day of it. The more you know. I want to remove this muffler. The problem is it's not going to be easy. There's like a little gear that retains it. Let me grab a couple things. And while you're making a day of it, make sure to stop at a place that you can get, assuming you don't have a few. Like a 5-gallon bucket, depending on how much you use it, maybe grab 2. Ow. Is it loose yet? There we go. For good measure. So we have a 3/8 right there that we do need to take care of before we continue. Assuming I was going the right direction, of course. Yeah, that is kind of stuck on there. Let me do a little magic on this. End up tightening the muffler back up, because this bowl is just not wanting to cooperate. Still might not want to cooperate all the way. Don't know. We're gonna get locked in there here soon. A lot of these mufflers can be different. Some of them, you don't have to do this. Some of them you just screw off. Some of them have 2 bolts. It just depends on your application, of course. But if you do have this one, might be a good idea to try this. The alternative to this is removing the whole carb. Which I might just have to do anyway. I don't really want to though. Let's see if I can't do this. And I really put it on there. Okay, good. I can gain access to the side. That was my worries. Granted, it's not great access because this bar is in the way. Let's see, if I lower the blade, will that give me a little bit of extra working room? We're gonna want to put something in front of the wheel so it doesn't move. Got it. It's like that worrisome part that you don't want to smash your fingers or your knuckles every time. I mean, you realize you're probably going to have to, but don't really want to. Okay. We have removed. Oh. Looks like someone's been in this machine before. I'll show you. So this tube is supposed to connect and go in there. It doesn't. So, like I said, I think someone's been in here before. We're going to want to remove this anyway just to give us better access. So we will fix someone else's problems. You don't really want to leave that open because that's a good way to get junk in there. And in there are your valves. And potentially it does have an opening into the engine, so you could get junk inside the engine. That would be unfortunate. But at the very least, let's say dirt and grime gets in there, it just turns into like sandpaper. Then your valves go out of adjustment. That's the best case scenario. Okie dokie. So now we have our diaphragm. This diaphragm is responsible for a lot of that. Well, basically all of the fuel movement. It's not horrible. It's also not great. We're going to replace it. In addition to that, I'm going to turn on my air compressor real quick and just put like the smallest amount of air in my tank. I want to have a very low PSI. I could adjust the regulator, I understand that, but there's nothing in my air compressor, so why refill all of it? And there we go. Air compressor, very little power. We're just going to blow through here. Cover your eyes. That's why. Inevitably you're going to get sprayed, but that's what ends up happening. If you don't like it, don't work on it. But here we go. We're going to wipe this up. We did that so we can ensure everything is nice and clean and not plugged. Because one of those goes to the pickup tube, and the other one goes to the tank, the inception tank. Now we're gonna grab our new, mine came with a little spring, which is why I didn't care if I dropped it. Not gonna lie, this is gonna be a little easier. In fact, I might just do it off camera. Tipped over. The reason why is gravity, plain and simple. So I'm going to get everything prepared. In fact, I think I will just put like a block or something underneath it. The wheel is supported, so it shouldn't roll off the table. But let's go ahead and do this. Or the table will roll. Stupid table. Close enough. One day I accidentally broke the brake on one of the wheels on my table. I was like, it's okay, I have another one. Well, I think you know what happened later. The other one broke. Yeah, we don't have that big of enough of an angle. We're going to have to do this the hard way. Okay. So it only goes on one way. Pretty simple. There's a little dowel right there that I'm using to kind of help. This is why tipping it on its side is so much better of an idea. Okay, trying to record this, I tell you. Plate, let's see if that helps at all. Probably not. Oh, it did. Are we lined up? I do believe so. Okay, well there you go. Look at that. Now I just have to make sure I don't let go and ruin this. Now with these, I'm using the impact. You shouldn't. Just screw it in by hand. If you over tighten this, you will warp it, and warped means fuel leaking. It will still run, just it will leak. And then at that point in time, pretty much need a new carb. Because I personally have not found just this plate. Granted, I only looked momentarily. Maybe you can. Just gonna do one click on the impact. Yet again, do this by hand. Over the course of years, I've learned that this is the perfect tightness for my machine. Now, we put this where it should be. And we put this where it should be. And then we tighten this screw down. I don't think that tube's in all the way. Is it even the right orientation? I feel like it's not. Let's see. I feel like that's better. Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought that looked funny. Someone completely messed that up. Okay. Look at us fixing two mistakes on the same pipe. Okay. I'm going to put the muffler back on and the air cleaner and everything back on, and we will give it a pull and see what happens. All put back together. Now, if it is, which I'm hoping, the diaphragm, the fuel pump, it's still going to be hard to start just for the fact that the little inception bowl is probably going to be fairly empty, and that's blowing through the carb probably didn't help that situation any. So I'm expecting this to be a little annoying. I'm gonna move this a little farther back. That spinning blade is not providing much confidence with that bar right there. This carb is a fixed jet, so there's no adjustment needle or screw or anything. So it seemed like it was running a tad lean under full throttle. That could just be the fact there's no load on it, so I'm not too concerned. The low speed, the idle, had no issue. So I'm hoping this is the fix. What I'm going to do, I don't think you want to sit here and have me show it to you for 15 minutes. I don't think you're going to want to watch 15 minutes of me letting this run at full throttle and using it in my front yard and stuff like that. So I'm going to do that, and if there's a problem, we'll come back. But I don't suspect so. It started really easy, and I got a phone call. I was actually on that call for about 20 minutes, which is why we had to stop. So it's been at least 20 minutes. If there was a hole, the fuel should be pretty much gone. Let's try no choke. Yeah, there's no hole. 20 minutes. There's a hole. It drips so little that the fuel pump should have been well capable to overcome that. Sitting for a day or two, yeah. But, nah. So, if you have one of these machines and it's hard to start and it shuts off, this could be the reason. Cheap little diaphragm. If you go to Amazon or eBay or anywhere else and just type in 5 horsepower. This isn't 5, but they all use the same diaphragm. 5 horsepower Briggs diaphragm. But if you type that in, then yeah, should be pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you at that. Follow me on Instagram at SmallEngine101. If you like what you see, definitely put a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good night.